All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to episode number 37 now of the Coders Startup Podcast. Last week we were talking a little bit about customer service do's and don'ts, if you will. And then this week I wanted to sort of shake things up and talk more about what you can do before you even get started with respect to creating a product. So we're kind of going at this sort of out of order. But I thought it was a really important topic to really dive into because there's a lot to be said about product creation, even just the idea phase of the product creation. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We might even go into a two-parter. I don't know how long this conversation is going to go, but if it becomes two parts, then so be it. We'll break it up into two parts. So having said that, as always, I'm joined by Carter, the marketer Johnson. Say hello to everybody.
What's going on, man?
One thing
watching, they can probably see it's a new backdrop.
I was just about to say that.
A dungeon of the basement where I used to record shows, but in my new place, a lot of lights. Yeah, so we got a different backdrop for sure.
There you go. So how far did you move? Are you like still sort of in Boulder, Colorado?
No, down in Denver. So, yeah, I mean, a good 45-minute move.
Gee, so you're down. So you're near what's that, near the airport now? So you're closer if I were to visit?
Definitely closer, but they built the airport out in the middle of nowhere in Denver, so everyone's far away from it.
There you go. Well, that's cool. I'm excited for you being in the new digs. One thing that Carter's been struggling with, maybe we could talk about this in another show, is he used to live with a bunch of entrepreneurs, and now he lives with one other person who's always away during the day. So he's essentially like me. He has no one to talk to during the day. Sorry, say again?
I said I'm lonely, man.
I know. So that's something that we should probably address that and talk about, the strategies around how to combat loneliness, because he's already figured some stuff out for himself that he can do. So yeah, we'll give an update on that probably in a later episode. In any case, let's talk products and product creation. The reason why I wanted to talk about this first and foremost was because I didn't really have a path to follow when it came to the creation of my products. I just happened to follow a path that sort of made sense with respect to my email sequence. By email sequence, I mean my sales funnel. And we've talked about this to death before with respect to sales funnels and having a good lead magnet, which is the free thing that you give away to get people onto your list. And then you sell them on a tripwire product, which is a low cost, high value product that will get them sort of, ripping open their wallet and throwing their money at you very enthusiastically, if you will. If you were to picture that, then that means you're doing the right thing with the creation of a tripwire product. And then you go from there and try to bring them into creating a core product, or rather buying a core product, which is you creating a core product, which is one that you're going to obviously deliver probably just as much, if not more value than the tripwire, hopefully more value. And then you actually charge what it's worth, right? So you actually charge whatever it is, a much larger dollar amount for it. And then you can get into upsells and downsells and all that stuff. But the whole point is, there's a path that you can follow with respect to creating all these things. You're talking about lead magnet. That's essentially a product. You're just not charging for it. You're talking about a tripwire, which is another product, high value, low cost, a core product, and an upsell product and a downsell product, and so on and so forth. So there's actually a whole bunch of products that you can be creating here that you should be creating if you really want to dive into a sales funnel. So having said that, where do you begin and how do you go about choosing products to create? And there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can talk about. So are any of your wheels spinning right now, Carter? Anything you want to say before I keep, blabbering on about this stuff?
No, I mean, I think this is going to be a lot on you because I'm typically doing services, right? So you have a lot more experience when it comes to products and stuff. But I think I'll be able to chime in and just give some useful thoughts here and there. Hopefully. Yeah,
and I mean that's not to say that a service is a product too, right? You're selling yourself as your services, and so it's absolutely another type of product that you can create. I'm sure there's very similar ways that you can go about determining what product to make when you're sort of offering yourself as a service, right? So the first thing. I guess the first place I started with just doing content marketing, which is just creating free stuff. And my plan for creating the free stuff with my blog was to eventually turn it all into an ebook so I could sell the ebook, right? That would be my first sort of inaugural product, if you will. So that's exactly what I did. And I mean, that's a great way to go about starting off, because, well, when you create content for free, you're not charging for it. So there's a lot less sort of anxiety that goes along with the creation of that content, if you will, because you're not charging anyone for it. So whatever, right? You might still have to struggle with, possibly putting something out that's wrong and getting, negative feedback about it, or, just being shy about putting yourself out there in the first place. Who knows, right? But these are all things, I don't know what techniques you can adopt to help yourself get through that. I don't necessarily know what advice to give you other than you just need to do it. I mean, that's just the long and short of it. If you're in a situation where you're hesitant and you don't want to, that's such a, I don't know how to even go about tackling that mindset. It's just the wrong mindset that you have. You need to get over it and put it out, because for me, failing at something is just as good as succeeding at something, because I'm learning from that process. I'm learning from failing.
After you do it once, after you just fell once, you get so much closer to actually succeeding at it.
Absolutely.
That's actually doing something. So yeah, you just got to get out of that unfrozen route of just waiting for the perfect time, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's never a perfect time. It's like, the thing that I relate it to in my world, the way I can relate to someone struggling with that same mindset is having a child, right? Having a kid for me is very scary right now. I'm very, I've never done it before, and I'm getting married soon, and I know that, the bun in the oven is going to be coming at some point in the near future. So it terrifies me, right? So I can understand that, maybe I would say I would want to wait before I have a child for that perfect time. But the fact of the matter is there's never a perfect time to have a child. There really isn't. And it's the same goes with product creation. There's never going to be a perfect time to do it. You just need to dive in. And that's exactly how I did it. I just dove in and started doing it. And of course I failed. Of course I created content that was incorrect, that people called me out on and said, probably called me an idiot and said, this is wrong. I mean, we just had someone on the blog, on the Coder Startup podcast, on one of the show notes, they posted saying, because we talked about marketing things, outbound versus inbound. And this particular gentleman was upset that we had gotten some of it wrong or something. And I mean, I never said that I was an absolute expert with respect to marketing, especially inbound versus outbound. These are still, things that I'm coming to terms with. So I guess I said things that were wrong, and he is upset about it. But I mean, to me, that's great. That means that I'm striking enough of a nerve. I am affecting the listeners of this podcast in such a strong way that they're actually willing to reach out and comment on the blog and want to correct me. So that's great. I don't take that as a negative at all. I was excited about it, and I commented saying, thank you so much for leaving that comment. That means we're doing something right if we're invoking these kinds of emotions. So that was great for me. So you're going to fail. It's just going to happen. And if you are too afraid of failing, then knowing that it's going to be it's going to happen no matter what, then that means that you're just never going to create a product. And as long as you can come to the terms with, okay, I'm never going to create a product, I'm never going to sell anything, I'm never going to become an entrepreneur. If that's something that sounds good to you, then there you go. You've got your path now. You need to go another route and stop listening to this podcast. But if you're willing to take the leap and deal with whatever fallout happens, it's not going to be the end of the world if someone gives you a negative comment. It's not. I promise you. You are going to get over it. So
I think something really powerful to think about is still the best companies, best entrepreneurs in the world consistently fail. I was over in Ireland, and one of the guys I was with got an update that one of Elon Musk, his company, it's not
SpaceX, Solar City, Tesla.
Yeah, I think it was SpaceX. Then apparently, their Dragon rocket or something, it blew up.
Oh yeah, I saw that on the news.
And it's there's a perfect example. They failed at that launch, but would you write off Elon Musk as a completely unsuccessful entrepreneur? No, it's just part of it. It's part of it. And to get to Mars or wherever they're going to have to blow up some rockets occasionally. It's just part of it. So
unmanned rockets, is important to say. They're unmanned. No one died. It was just computers and metal and stuff like that blew up. So anyway, excellent point. even the best fail. So it's something that you just need to come to terms with. It's going to happen. So how you deal with it is what will make you or break you as an entrepreneur. So I don't need to say that anymore. I'm sure you're already aware of this. So for me, I went and created free content. That was sort of the lowest barrier to entry for me. It's probably going to be the lowest barrier to entry for you as well. And then you take that content and you slap it together into an ebook. Now that ebook, you can throw it on Amazon, you can throw it onto all these different things, but I want to talk about the product creation of that ebook first before I get into all that other stuff. For me, I mean, when I create my products, I actually outline all the topics. I have a sit down and a brainstorm session where I think about all the different things that I could write about with respect to whatever topic it is that I'm talking about. So for lately, I just created a product around the JavaScript programming language. And for those of you who can see this, I'm going to sort of tilt my camera over onto the wall. And yeah, you know, for those of you listening, I can describe it. All you see is there's just a bunch of sticky notes on my wall, and all those sticky notes represent a topic, a broad topic within the JavaScript programming language. You know, you probably can't read them, but just a whole bunch of sticky notes, maybe, I don't know, 25, 50 sticky notes. I don't know how many are up there. But I just jot down all the ideas as fast as I can about, you know, all the different topics that I could be covering inside of this book. And that's sort of my ground zero for how I'm going to start the outline of the product, of the book. And then I can...
You're getting it super simple.
Sorry, say that first part again?
I was just saying, like, from an outsider's perspective, you're breaking it down. You're getting it super simple where you can execute on just one point after one point.
Yeah, exactly. These could be, you know, headings within chapters, essentially what I'm creating. So for me, for JavaScript, I mean, I created things around like, what is JavaScript? And, you know, if statements, control structures, dynamic typing, variables, loops, you know, scripts, embedded scripts, importing scripts, case sensitivity, arrays, functions. So these are all just broad topics that I sort of brainstormed up and just, you know, sort of vomited onto sticky notes and just kept going and going. You know, I did all that in about, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes. And I was already, you know, so close to finished in terms of creating a very basic outline. So that's sort of the first step to my product creation. I just brain dump all that stuff. Now, the next thing I do when it specifically comes to books, and I mean, it doesn't have to be with respect to books. If you're creating courses or anything just around content and information in general, I look out to competitors. I look out to other people who have done something similar to what I am creating. So if I'm creating an ebook, a fantastic place to go is Amazon. Amazon is a blessing because you can go there, you can search for your competitors' books, you can open the book and take a look at it without even buying it. You can see the first X number of pages, which gives you their entire outline of the book. You can see every single, you know, heading or topic, chapter, you know, you break the whole thing down right in front of you. You can see all the topics, and then all you need to do is go across, you know, the top 5 books in that category, do that same thing, go over and just pick out all the different topics that you haven't already written down on your sticky notes, and there you go. Boom, you just create a whole bunch of other sticky notes. That way you can sort of put your mind at ease that you're not forgetting anything. Right? If you're going on the top 5, top 10 books out there, if you want to be really crazy, you can do all top 10. But I mean, even for me, I think I did 2 or 3, and that was enough for me because I saw all the overlap between the books. There you go. Now you put your mind at ease that you are covering everything that you need to cover, right? So you've got this outline, fantastic. And then it's just a matter of starting to, you know, write about it, right? So then it goes into research phase. You know, if you're really crazy and you don't know if you know a lot about the topic, but you want to be really crazy and still do a bunch of research, then by all means you can. I usually go in and do research on each of the topics and just pick up, you know, do a Google search on it and go to the first, I don't know, 3 hits on Google and go through their articles and just make sure I understand completely everything about the subject, and maybe I can pick up tidbits here and there about what I could talk about, but never copy their content. That should go without saying. Never copy other people's content. Just put it into your own words, because that's, yeah.
Well, and then, you know, from a search engine perspective and everything, you're going to get nailed with the duplicate content.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Google hates that. They'll de-index your site. So definitely don't do that.
Juice is not worth a squeeze.
No. The other thing that you were saying, and I feel like I catch myself in this cycle sometimes, and maybe you can relate to that, to this, is it basically, you get your outline, you break down the steps, you know what you need to do, but then you sit there and you procrastinate for whatever reason. Maybe it's nerves that it won't come out how you want to. Maybe it's because the whole ego thing, you're convinced, well, if I don't try it, then I can always say like, well, it would have worked had I tried. Like there's all sorts of mind games we play with each other. I was going to suggest one little thing that I've been experimenting with and having a lot of good success with. I attended James Clear's. He had a seminar on procrastination. He was talking about this, like once we, get to the point where we're doing something, and it can be a small task or a large, but in particular, when we have these small tasks, for whatever reason, we drag our feet to actually do it, to get it started. And he suggested, I'll hold it up, this is a little 5-minute hourglass. And the only rule you set for yourself, you sit down.
Well, hold on, pause. So for those, you kind of blew by that really quickly. For those who aren't seeing this, describe what you just held up there.
It's an hourglass, with the sand in it and all. And you can flip it over and all. It's a 5-minute one though. So essentially, all you're going to do, the only rule you have is you're going to sit down and you're going to flip it over, and by the time that it's empty, see it's going down. By the time it's empty, you just have to start on that task, because typically the way our minds work and why we procrastinate and stuff, it's super easy to do stuff once we already have momentum, once we already have it started. So if you can just jumpstart that process. So going back to what you were saying, Trevor, about having everything outlined, all of that stuff, and then getting, sitting down and actually doing the writing or whatever it is, sometimes that can be the most difficult thing, because we've done everything but it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would encourage people to set a timer or something if you find yourself procrastinating on that, or figure out a way where you can just jumpstart and get it rolling. Because once you get it rolling, it's a lot easier to complete it.
Yeah, and for me, what seems to work, I was exactly hitting this exact same problem. I'm doing my 66 day challenge right now, which I'm falling behind in. But I was trying to do a blog post yesterday, which I was able to. Was it yesterday that we had our? Oh no, it was the day before yesterday. It's Tuesday. I was trying to get a blog post out, and I was procrastinating, and I didn't want to write it, and I was starting to make up excuses as to why I should get out of my chair and do something else. And then I said, no, I need to write one sentence. That's it. Just get one sentence down, that first thing. And I did. And I was like, okay, so I typed out, the introduction for it, which was, what was it? The DOM, the document object model within JavaScript. So I was like, okay, let me just write out the first sentence. And I said something like, okay, when I first encountered the document object model, I was a little bit intimidated by it because I didn't really understand what it was or what it meant. And, da, da, da. And then I hit, period. And I was like, okay, there, I wrote the first sentence. And then I was like, oh, but I can write more about this. But and I kept on going and kept on writing. And I ended up writing probably 75% of the article right there and then, even though I was just about to get out of my chair and do something else. I wrote 75% of the article, and then I had to stop because it was dinner time. So had it not been dinner time, I would have written 100% of it. But yeah, the wife-to-be doesn't like it when I'm working while she's eating dinner and I'm, not eating dinner with her. So there you go. Welcome to soon-to-be marriage. So there you go. I mean, that's an amazing strategy that just bloody works. It's just something that you need to get into the habit of forcing yourself to do. That's it, right?
Going back to the bigger picture, what we're talking about today with product creation, it's one of those things where the first few times you do it, it's agonizing. It's difficult. You're breaking through this barrier almost because you're going into this unknown world. But now it gets easier and easier the more you do it, just like with blog posts or whatever, it gets easier and easier. Like that first time, it's going to be a little bit difficult. You might procrastinate a little bit more than usual, or it might be a lot more scary or whatever it is. But after you do it once, it's going to get easier. And that's the key for people listening. Just get it done once, even if it sucks, just do it.
Just do it. Nike. It just, there's something, I don't know how you can, quantify or just put into words this power that just starting has, right? Just getting it started. It's so hard to do, I know, but But anyway, once you get it going, once the ball gets rolling and you get into the zone and you're experiencing the flow, it's magical. And I love being in flow and just having the content pour out of my fingers or my voice, like, we're doing right now. I just love it. It's what I live for. So the juice there is definitely worth the squeeze. Just get started and get going. So having said that, there you go. You can get down to business. You can start writing the content, and if this is an ebook, then you can write it right into Microsoft Word. That's a great place to do it, because then you can easily get it formatted for something like Kindle and putting it on Amazon, or you can just turn it into a PDF and sell it online. You can upload it to Create Space or something like that Amazon owns that allows you to create a physical copy of the book. I think
what is that called?
It's by Amazon. If you just typed in Amazon, create real book, or I don't know, so it's something like Create Space or Create something. You'll find it out. But there's all these different options that you have. Like writing a book, people think that it's this mammoth task that is so impossible to achieve, and that being an author, puts you up on some sort of a pedestal or something like that. It's not hard at all. Like I've written what, 2 books, going on 3 now, and it's not.
Like your books aren't like the 35-page flip through. They're the textbook. I mean, they're thick.
Yeah, they're thick. They're thick dudes. I keep asking you to repeat yourself, Carter. And for those of you listening in, and I don't know if the audio is going to be good or not. Maybe I can get my audio guide to adjust the levels. But Carter hasn't unpacked his microphone yet, so he's using, I guess, the one built into his computer. So Carter, you're just a little bit quieter than I'm used to.
Lean in and yell.
Well, no, don't do that, because then the audio guy will have to go through. The editor will have to go through even more trouble. So. Yeah, hopefully we'll get it fixed up. Well, I think his name is Isaac. I don't need to say I think. His name is Isaac. I've spoken with him before. He's the editor for the Coder Startup, so everyone can say hi to Isaac. So yes, Isaac, please make sure that our volume levels are equal between me and Carter. And I apologize for that in advance, because that might be a big pain in the. Anyway, so create the product. Creating a book is not hard. It's all in your head. Just get it done. Don't be afraid about failing. Don't be afraid about negative comments, because the worst case scenario is you need to re-edit some parts of your book, and then you just re-upload it to Amazon. Done. Okay? It's not hard. Don't get all up in your head about it. If you're doing it on the blog first, even better, because then you can get the negative comments on the blog, and then you can adjust the content on the blog before you even publish it as a book. But the bottom line is you are going to get negative comments. You are going to get people correcting you. You are going to get people disagreeing with your point of view. It's just a matter of fact that's going to happen. So pull up your socks and deal with it. That's my best advice. So now, I was talking about other things about. I said I would get to those things. What was it that I was talking about before? Can you remember all my trains of thought that I was going through?
Around product creation?
Yeah, around specifically, I think it was a book. I was saying, all these things. And I was like, oh wait, before I get there, let me talk about, my creation mechanisms that I use to create the content. Can you remember what I was saying?
I can't.
No, you can't. Okay. Well, neither can I, obviously. So I think I was going to talk about Amazon and ways to publish it and everything. But yeah, once you've created your book, there you go. You can use it as, excuse me, I'm burping here, a tripwire. So that can be, it's not the greatest tripwire. I'm using it right now as one of my tripwire products, but I recently hired a sales funnel expert, like you guys already know. And he was advising me probably against using the ebook as a tripwire, only because my ebook was so bloody long. Yeah. So I had a huge ebook. So people, if they purchase the book, generally people want to get into the book and start, consuming the content, but because it was such a long book, they probably wouldn't have enough bandwidth with respect to time and their own mind space to be able to consume the book, as well as all the emails that they would be receiving from me trying to upsell them to my core product. Right. Yeah. So that could be hurting my sales. So if you're writing a shorter book, then by all means, that could be a great product. But if you got a big, long honker like I did with respect to my textbook style, 400 pager, that's probably not the greatest tripwire product. But the whole point is that you should be thinking this. You should be thinking tripwire, and then you should be thinking core product, and then you should be thinking upsell and downsell.
Going back to what you're saying, if a book was the product that you're creating, a good tripwire might be the first chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I've always been told with tripwires to keep it basically you can consume it in less than 5 minutes. I don't know. I think it was.
Is that a lead magnet or a tripwire? I would say lead magnet it would be nice if it could be consumed within 5 minutes, but a tripwire, people are actually paying money for. So unless the value in the 5 minutes is massive.
I'm trying to think. I had a really good resource and they broke it down. I'll have to look for that and see if we can post it. But yeah, a tripwire would probably be a little bit longer, but like a first chapter of the book would be a decent.
Yeah. So but the point is you should always be thinking about that sequence. So high value, low cost, and also fairly quickly consumable. Okay. So for example, what I'm doing now, what I'm going to be testing out for my new tripwire, I'm going to get rid of the ebook as a tripwire, and I'm going to be introducing the first 9 or 10 videos of my full course. My course is 52 videos. So just like Carter suggested, the first chapter of the book, I'm doing the first essentially chapter of my course, which is the first 9 or 10 videos. So that's going to be my tripwire product. That's definitely not consumable within 5 minutes. That's probably going to be, I don't know, maybe 5 hours worth of content that can be consumed. But I'll be charging maybe anywhere from $10 to $17 or something like that for that tripwire. And that will hopefully, get people excited about the content and excited to purchase the core product. So that brings me to my next topic, where creating one product, means that you could break that one product down into smaller parts and sell it as multiple products. This is one of the things I said from the beginning that I wished I had done differently. I created one product that could be broken down into probably 5. So I put a lot of work into it, and it was just way too much effort. And I'm selling it for far less than I should be. And what I should do is break it all up. But because I had recorded it in such a way that it was, continuous, it's very difficult for me to break it up, because each of the videos I recorded for my training course, I started with, hello and welcome to video number, 7 or 10 or whatever. So if all of a sudden you purchase one of my products and it says, hi, welcome to video number 34, you're going to say, well, what the heck happened to videos 1 through 33? So
go back and just record over that section.
I totally could. And it's totally laziness that is stopping me from doing that, because it's a lot of work, and I don't know where else I would have said video number, whatever, inside of the video itself. I could probably roll the dice, and I probably could get away with it. But it's just one of those things where I just haven't done that yet. So I don't know. I could definitely still do that in the future. But it's just laziness that I haven't, done that yet. Because I got so many I shouldn't say laziness. I've got so many other things to work on.
So many other things that take priority.
Exactly.
Load a lot more than what that would.
But learn from my failure. Learn from the fact that I created a product that could be broken down into pieces, but I made it too difficult for it to be broken down into pieces. So when you're creating the product, always think, maybe, like, if I were to need to break this up into pieces, would it be easy to do so? And if the answer is no, it's not easy, maybe doing a little bit of preparation beforehand would be necessary to make sure that it could be easy to break up. Yeah. All right.
Strategic planning.
Just do some planning. It's so much more worth it in the end. These are all the lessons that you learn after years of creating products. So, but the point is, like I said, you can create one product and break it up into many. Like I said, the tripwire could be just the first part of the product that you're creating. If you can break it down into those kinds of chunks, fantastic. That way you create 2 products in one go, and then all you need to come up with is some sort of a lead magnet, which could even be splitting off one other piece of that product, and you can create that as the lead magnet, right? Which is the free thing that you give away. Maybe it could just be the very first lesson or something like that. It could be the lead magnet, and then the first chapter is the tripwire, then the whole course is the core product. There you go. You create one product, you break it down to 3, you're done. So this is always what you should be keeping in your mind whenever you're creating new products, because I definitely keep it in my mind now, and I make it so that it is breakable in terms of being broken into different parts. So that's probably the number. If there's one thing that you take out of this conversation, that's probably the most important thing to remember when you're creating your products. So anything you want to add to that before we move on?
No, I think that's a good way to end that portion.
So for you, Carter, in your business, with your service-based business, are is there anything that you've taken out of this conversation that you could apply to what it is that you're doing with respect to your email series, your sales funnel, anything like that? Are any light bulbs going off?
Into what your point of like breaking things down. So like one of the things we do is the assessments that we've talked about, like the full site assessments. And that's a great way of us not going all the way in and doing all the work, but breaking it up to where, you know, we can offer value right off from the start for our clients, give them actionable material and stuff, and then they can make the decision if they want to go to the next tier, the core product offer, if you will. Does that make sense how I'm explaining that?
Oh, absolutely. I might have a blank stare on my face, but it's only because I'm thinking about what I'm going to talk about next while also listening to you at the same time. So,
yeah. So I think that would be probably the biggest similarity in what you were.
Absolutely. So you have the service that you're providing from start to finish, and you just said there's an initial part of the service that you have that you provide to your clients that when they pay for it, that you realize you could just take that one part and break it off as is that like a low cost thing, like a tripwire, or is that something you give away for free to get them in the door as a client?
It's more something like a tripwire.
It's for a tripwire.
Yeah. Just because it's still a lot of work. It's a lot of value and stuff. And, you know, sometimes we'll have clients who bypass the tripwire. They go straight from like lead gen to boom, fully in it. And then we'll still do what we offer as a tripwire, but they've already committed to the whole thing. So
there you go. And is there anything you give away sort of for free to get them in the door in the first place?
Oh yeah. I mean, we give away a lot of different things, everything from like references to just like, a lot of times, because ours is so heavy on the people to people, the conversation that goes into it. One of the things we'll do more as a lead as a lead magnet is simply just offering to talk to him about like, you know, what's going on. Think of it as like if the lawyer was doing a consultation just to kind of understand your business. It's very similar, and then that way they get an idea for what's going on in the search engine optimization world. They get to understand what all these Panda, Penguin, everything else updates are, and kind of get some of their answers to questions that they've had before. So that's more what I would say is our lead magnet.
Absolutely. And I mean, it makes perfect sense because that's exactly what I do for my service-based business, which is the coaching that I do on the Coder Startup. So I give away the free consultation, which is the exact same thing that you do, where I go over their business and just see if there's a good fit between my knowledge and...
Like I'm sure you see, and a lot of people out there see, it's not always a great fit. And it shouldn't, like you shouldn't enter business. And I was one who did this all the time. I would enter into business relationships or working relationships that I had no business being in, but I just needed to jumpstart the income. But eventually you get to a place where you can decide, hey, this is a good fit, or, you know, our operations were really not set up for what you need. You might want to look over here. And that's a great thing during the consultation that you're able to figure out before either one of you kind of ventures down the path and spends a lot of money and a lot of time.
Beauty. So there you go. I think that is a good back and forth about the first parts of content creation and product creation in general. Now, like I said, this could be a two-parter. We could already be, edited to the point where this is the second part of the episode, or maybe the end of the first part. Who knows? I don't know what it's going to be like in the future. Alrighty, so I'm going to stop the conversation here, cut it short, because like I said, this was a long talk that I had with Carter. So we'll call it an end to episode number 37 of the Coder Startup Podcast. If you want to check out the show notes, you can go to coderstartup.com/37 to get all the rundown on what it was that we were just talking about in the first half of this discussion about product creation. Next week, we're going to go dive into more details about software product creation, because that's something that you guys most likely are going to be dabbling dabbling with. I don't know what the terminology is, but you'll be definitely probably creating some software products yourself. So I've got some great insights into that stuff. So that'll be for next week. But yeah, check out the show notes at coderstartup.com/37 for this episode. And don't forget to check out Carter's website. As always, he is available at unitedbusinessleaders.com. And believe it or not, we have already picked a winner for the contest where Carter will be going over your website and doing sort of a rundown, giving you a free consultation on what it is that you need to do to improve the SEO in your business. So, and probably even more than that. So I forget now. It's been so long ago that we introduced this topic, but he's already picked the winner. If you are the winner, then fantastic, congratulations. Hopefully what we can do is we can go and profile that website and that change and sort of what the results were. Now that'll be probably a long-term thing because SEO is not a quick, short win. At least not all of it is. So it'd be great to be able to touch base with that person who won and check out and see what the results were like. So as always, check out his website, unitedbusinessleaders.com. And like I said, the show notes, coderstartup.com/37. And I wish you all the very best and take care of yourselves. And I guess both happy learning. And we'll see you next time in episode number 38. So peace out. Bye for now.